Open heart, open mind. Welcome to the Sadra channel, the official platform of the Sadra project. I'm Sharab Wong, the co-founder of the Sadra project.
Hi everyone, I'm Ting Ying. I'm from Satwa Youth, bringing Dharma to you and preaching Dharma with youth. Satwa Youth is a Buddhist youth program initiated by the Satwa Project. First of all, on behalf of our Satwa Project, we would like to express our thankfulness to our StreamYard sponsors and the media partners, Durian Asians and Durian FM. And not to forget also the important man behind the scene, our broadcast director, Brother Ray. Thank you very much for your generous contributions and efforts. Brother Ray, would you like to say hi to everyone?
Hello and welcome everyone. I think we'll have an interesting meditation session today. Please remember to like and share this to let more people benefit from it. If you are watching this later on YouTube, please remember to subscribe to our channel, like and share the video. Come back to you.
Thanks, Brother Ray.
Yep. Brother Shirab, tonight you have some simple intro, right?
Yes,
Regarding our Satwa project. Yes.
correct. Today we are going to have a guided meditation entitled The Zen Wisdom in Not Knowing, guided by Myong An Sunim. So, sitting quietly at home, spreading love and kindness all around the globe. So, finding peace and calm in the chaos of life can be a real challenge, especially when you are trying to balance work, social obligation, family, and personal life. So, that's where guided Zen meditation can help. So, in this meditation series, we invite experienced meditation teachers to help us in developing and designing our meditation practices that fits our busy schedules and intention and give us the space to relax both our body and mind and to awaken our Buddhas within.
Yes. So back to tonight. Today live meditations as usual will be divided into three parts. Each take around 20 minutes. First begin with a short talk and then we'll sit and let's meditate together for another 20 minutes. Followed by question and answer and also dedication prayers. Okay.
So, let me first give a brief introduction to you about Myong An Sunim. Myong An Sunim is a Zen monk from Kuan Yin School of Zen, and he's also our advisor, the advisor of the Sattva project. Myong An Sunim, usually called Sunim, was born to a Chinese family in Malaysia in 1959. He received his education in the UK, culminating with an MBA and work in finance. Myong An Sunim began his meditation practice in 1992 after meeting his teacher, Zen Master Songzan, in Hong Kong. He was ordained as a monk in 1997 and spent the next 16 years in Korea doing intensive meditation retreats. He received Inca, the authorization to teach Kong-ans and leads retreats from two Zen masters in 2015. Sunim has over 30,000 hours of meditation experience, teaches mindfulness and Zen in Penang and internationally. His teaching approach combines the wisdom of the ancient teachings with the science of meditation to arrive at ways of practice that are well suited to our contemporary lifestyle.
Yes. So let
And
us put our palms together and welcome Myong An Sunim. Yeah. Pass to you, Sunim.
Hello, everyone. Good evening, and thank you very much for the very kind introduction. And welcome to all of you to join us tonight. So tonight, I want to talk about the Zen wisdom of not knowing. Now, many years ago, when my teacher was still around, Zen Master Songsan, he told us this story at a Dharma talk. He said a man came to see him at the temple one day and asked him, Zen Master, am I standing right side up or upside down? And, the Zen Master, it was a very strange question, Then he asked this man, are you asking because you don't know yourself? The man then said, well, I'm not really sure anymore. And why is that? Well, the earth is round, so I stand up this way. But right now, Western people on the other side of the earth must be upside down. So, or else, if they're not upside down, they're standing correctly and I'm upside down. What do you think? Then Zen Master Songsan looked at him and said, what do you think? Then the man's face sort of like lit up And he was very happy because he thought he could give a very good answer. He said, I understand which one is true. So, what do you understand? The Zen master asked him. The man replied, form is emptiness, emptiness is form. He is quoting from the Heart Sutra. Right side up is upside down, and upside down is right side up. And Zen master like, how do you understand that? Oh, my mind. I figured it out in my mind. Then Zen master Songsan said, okay, where's your mind? Show me your mind right now. Then the man was completely stuck. He couldn't answer. So at that time, Zen Master Songsan remembered this old Korean saying. The saying is this: to understand things like this is no better than having cancer. So as they spoke further, Zen Master Songsan was saying, why is this guy thinking this way? And this man, what happened was that one day he was going to take a bus. Then he saw a farmer putting his, A-frame backpack. Like in Korea, they used to make these out of wood, like that, and then two pieces of wood there, and then they would have some kind of two other pieces of wood there and put whatever they're carrying on this backpack, and then they would tie some string or cloth, and they'd be able to carry it like a regular rucksack, except there's an old style design. So this A-frame, he was propped next to the bus, and so they would stand up. Then his friend, this farmer's friend, walked by, accidentally kicked one of the legs, and the whole thing just fell down over. And then this man saw it, and it kind of suddenly he had this question: how can this happen? He had some kind of brainstorm. Then he thought, this earth, this whole round earth, and Westerners are on the other side, Korean people on this side, they're all in the same situation. And it didn't really make any sense. How can it be upside down or whatever? He was all getting caught up in his thinking. It made him very confused. Then he talked to his friends about it. Then one friend said to him, hey, you know what? I think you can find the answer to your problem. There is going to be a talk by a very knowledgeable professor. He's a scholar of Buddhist studies, and he's going to give a talk on the Heart Sutra. Maybe you will find the answer to your question there. So the man went, listened, and he thought, this professor is great. Then he heard the professor utter these words from the Heart Sutra. Form is emptiness, emptiness is form. Then this speech went really deep into his consciousness. And he thought, I understand. Form is emptiness, emptiness is form. And what he did was he actually, understood intellectually. But he was actually too attached to the words to perceive the true meaning. So that's why he thought, I'm upside down, and both right side up and upside down. It's all the same. White is black, black is white. Light is dark, dark is light. That's the same thing that he understood, that he heard, but he couldn't see through to the true meaning. So Zen Master Sun San said, well, a lot of people are like that, They have a very strong conceptual experience that form is emptiness and emptiness is form. They're kind of like, I get it. But this is only a intellectual understanding. Calls it dry cognition. It's not something that you can use because it doesn't really help in your life. Like this man going around saying, upside down is right side up, upside down is right side up. How does it help your life? So being too attached to things that we want to understand can act against, can stop us from really getting to the true meaning. So understanding in itself is neither good or bad. Okay, we need to understand about certain things in the world, in society, how laws work, because it underpins much of our material world. So it enables, when we understand how to figure out things in this world, stopping at a red light is right, and going at a green light is right. You don't go at a red light and stop at a green light. So that enables us to live in this world and function. And for some people who are able to acquire a lot of knowledge and understanding, uh, and they're very good at it, maybe they're a professor or some kind of scholar, then a lot of people look up to them and respect them. And you also need, if you have you need a certain level of knowledge and understanding to be able to work at your job, so you can have a comfortable life and live your life reasonably. So that's why I say understanding is not good, not bad. It's okay. That's fine if you want that and you're happy with that. But what we need to appreciate is that just knowledge and understanding does not automatically give you insight and wisdom into our human nature. So just like the man who understood form is emptiness and emptiness is form of the Heart Sutra, he was unable to have any deep insight to what it really meant. So that's a very famous Austrian philosopher called Wittgenstein, Ludwig Wittgenstein. I can't pronounce his name for the love of God. The limits of language are the limits of my world. That's what he said. So what that means is that thinking and understanding can only go as far as the limits of what you can understand. You can't go any further. So and there's a kind of little danger to that. If you have a mistaken understanding, which you cling to very strongly, like this guy, then you believe in things like, for example, the earth is flat, COVID isn't real, and other things like that. Now, you think it sounds a bit far-fetched that people believe that earth is flat, right? But actually not, because there are people who seriously believe this in the United States and other parts of the world. And every year in the United States, they organize these conferences called the Flat Earth Conference, where they come together and prove that the earth is flat. And that's what they believe. So, that's attaching to understanding. And the sixth patriarch of Zen in China, Huineng, is the most famous Zen master of all time. And he has a platform sutra. He's the only non-Buddha that has a sutra named after him. So that's why his teachings are considered to be such a high level. So when he was a layperson, before he became a Zen master, he was very poor. His father died early, and he didn't get an education. So what he did was he went to the mountains, collected wood, and went to the market, sold it, and with the money, he used it to support himself and his mother. They lived very, very frugally, And as I said, he was not educated, so he was illiterate. He didn't know how to read and didn't know how to write. So one day he was in the market selling his wood, and he heard a monk chanting the Diamond Sutra. And when he heard the sentence, "Do not attach to anything that appears in your mind," his mind opened, and he had an awakening. And because of that awakening, he asked the monk, "Who's your teacher? Who's your teacher? I must go and see him." He went to visit the fifth patriarch, who recognized his awakening, deep awakening, and gave him Dharma transmission to become the sixth patriarch. So, all along, he's never been able to read or write, never studied the sutras, but he became famous throughout China during his time. And many, many people, monastics and lay people, would go to see him, ask him for his teaching. So there was one nun, a bhikkhuni nun, and her name is Wu Jinjiang. And her practice was reciting the Mahaparinirvana Sutra. So he was there just listening to her. And after he heard her recite for a short time, and this was before he became famous, but he was able to understand its meaning, and he began to explain the sutra to her. Then she was very shocked, very surprised, who is this young monk? Suddenly he can understand all these profound things about the Mahaparinirvana Sutra, and I've been a nun for so many years, and I still cannot. So then she picked up the sutra and asked him, "Oh, what's the meaning of these words?" Then he said, "Oh, I can't read or write. But if you want, just read out the words to me and I will explain it to you." Then she was like, that's very weird, very strange. So she asked him, "How can you understand, grasp the meaning of the text when you can't even read the words?" And then he said, the profound meaning of the teaching of the various sutras has nothing to do with the written language. Nothing to do with the written language. It's very funny, actually, because my Dharma brother, Zen Master Deba, experienced this one time. And he's an American monk, a Westerner, and he was in Korea. So I think some other Korean monks went up to him and said, "How can you understand Buddhism? You don't know how to read the Chinese sutras, Then he was like, "Yeah, right. I know. The Buddha couldn't read Chinese either." So he was laughing all the way. So the Buddha said that the Dharma is not dependent on speech or words. It's a special transmission beyond all the other teachings. So if we let go of our attachment to knowledge and understanding, we can allow ourselves the freedom to trust in this not knowing and learn to become more comfortable with it. The path to realizing our Buddha nature lies here, to experience the Dharma directly without trapping it within our understanding. In Christianity, there is something very, very similar. There's a book called The Cloud of Unknowing, and it's written by Christian mystics a long time ago. And the message contained within this work is that they say that the way to know God is to let go, to abandon all consideration of God's particular activities and attributes. That means what he looks like, what he does, and be courageous enough to surrender one's mind and ego to the realm of unknowing. Surrender to the realm of unknowing, at which point one may begin to glimpse the nature of God. That's basically saying the same thing. God nature, Buddha nature, true nature, same thing. Different words, that's all. So God can only be experienced through the realm of unknowing. Now, I'm sure that most of you have heard of Pema Chodron. She's a great teacher in the Tibetan tradition and disciple of famous teacher Chogyam Trungpa Rinpoche. And she calls this not knowing groundlessness. It's the same thing. There's nothing to hold on to. You don't know. don't know or you have not knowing, you can't hold on to anything. So she says, if you're willing to give up hope that insecurity and pain can be exterminated, then we can have the courage to relax with the groundlessness of our situation. That is the first step on the path. So many people, many teachers saying the same thing, using slightly different words. Ajahn Chah, great Buddhist master in the Thai forest tradition, regularly taught that everything is uncertain. He uses the word uncertain for not knowing. He said, see that all that arises is uncertain, that there is nothing stable or substantial. See clearly and see that there is nowhere to take hold of anything. When you see things that arise in the mind for what they are, you won't have to work with thinking anymore. You will have no doubt whatsoever in these matters. So, I heard this story about him one time. You know, in Thailand, people like to go to monks to get their fortune read. But of course, uh, Ajahn Chah wasn't very keen on this. But one man went to his temple in the forest and was really insistent. You know, he wanted, please, can I see? It's very important to me. So at first, Ajahn Chah said, no, no, no. But he really was very insistent. So eventually Ajahn Chah said, okay, bring the man to me and I'll talk with him. So this man said, oh, great, great master. Please, I need to know what my future is, my fortune is. You know? So then Ajahn Chah said, okay, give me your hand. Then he took the man's hand and he looked at it. Then he started to say, oh, very interesting. And then he kept doing that and holding the man's hand and mumbling, oh, very interesting. And then the man was like, what is it? What is interesting? Please tell me, please tell me. And Ajahn Chah kept going, interesting, interesting. Then this man was so, exasperated, so impatient. And he said, please, master, tell me what my fortune is. Tell me what my future is. Then Ajahn Chah stopped and said, yeah, I see it. And the man said, what do you see? What do you see? And Ajahn Chah said, it's uncertain. It's all uncertain. And that's what he told the man. It's all uncertain, There's nothing that we really can truly be certain of if you really come to think about it. We think that we know, but actually we don't really know. So that's the key teaching, Nothing is for certain and everything's changing. So that's impermanence. So how do we practice this not knowing mind? Well, I think the easiest way for many of us to approach it is with a beginner's mind, to have like a beginner's mind, like the mind of a young child. In Korean Buddhism, we call this Chobal Shim, which also means the same thing. And what it means is to let go of our fixed ideas, our fixed opinions, our fixed understanding about things. Then we can come to each experience like a beginner. Like each breath you take is like the first time. That your breath is the only one that matters, the one in that moment. Every time you look at the sky, it's like the first time you're seeing it. It's blue and all those clouds. And you can dwell on the wonder of it all. How many times you actually look at the sky when you're outside? Most of us are too busy rushing to the car, getting on the road, Even when we're walking from the car park to the office, we're not looking up, we're rushing, or maybe we're looking down at our smartphones. So we can practice having a beginner's mind. And Suzuki Roshi, another famous Zen master who taught Zen to many Americans, in San Francisco Zen Center. He said, in the beginner's mind, there are many possibilities, but in the expert's, there are few. So in the beginner's mind, there are many possibilities, but in the expert's, there are few. So if you think that you already understand everything, then you basically create a barrier for yourself. You imprison yourself in your cage of your understanding, and you cannot go beyond to anything that exists outside of your understanding. And when you do this, you can be stopping yourself, preventing yourself from learning something new or having a good new experience. So that's why a not knowing beginner's mind is so important. It's so very important if you're serious about practicing the Dharma and you want to realize your human nature. The realm of knowledge and understanding is important to help us live in this material world. And that's fine if that's all you want. If you only want that, that's all you get. But if you want to realize the deeper meaning to your life, then we have to practice the path of meditation with the approach of having a beginner's mind or not knowing mind. Just think back about what the Buddha did. He was sitting under a Bodhi tree. He didn't have a meditation coach or a sutra scholar next to him explaining to him, oh, this is what you do and this is the next step. Now, this is what you have to understand, this is what you don't have to understand. He just sat there by himself, paying mindful attention, mindful awareness to his breath, and really not knowing what he was going to attain. He heard about it, but he didn't know what it was going to be like. But he had the faith. He trusted in the practice and approached everything with this, no choice, not knowing mind. And then he continued and continued, practicing for months and years until one day he saw the morning star and became the Buddha, the awakened one. So that's why it really is helpful if you really want to practice, is to have this mind that is open and not clinging to some ground or some understanding. That's not knowing. So then you can really meet each experience face to face without the filter of any understanding and any fixed ideas. You are directly experiencing whatever it is 100%. So that's very key for our practice. That is what helps you to really see truly what your true nature is. Now, not based on somebody else's idea. That is somebody else's idea. What people tell us for practice. You really have to experience it yourself. And when you do experience it for yourself, nobody can take it away from you because you know what is what. You already experienced it. So that is the treasure of your practice. So let's try that for tonight and see tonight when we do our meditation, which we're going to start now, anything that comes up, just allow it to happen with a open beginner's mind and not judge good or bad. Okay, just non-judgmental mindfulness without expectations. So let's sit upright comfortably in a relaxed pose. Close your eyes, or if you prefer to keep them open them slightly and gaze downwards with a soft focus. Allow yourself to settle into the posture. and come to feel your breath. Notice your breathing. Where do you feel it most strongly? Your nostrils, back of your throat, and chest, lower belly. Wherever it is, just allow your awareness to settle on it gently. And without trying to control your breath or to change it in any way, allow your breathing to be natural. Let your breath breathe itself. And just notice the sensation of breathing and try to rest on the awareness of your breath as you breathe in and breathe out. Every breath is a new breath. It's a beginning breath. So when you find your mind being distracted by anything, thoughts, images, emotions arising, don't worry. It's perfectly normal and there's nothing wrong in your practice. Gently let them go and come back to your breath and begin all over again. Begin noticing your breath again. Breathing in, breathing out. When you lose the awareness of your breath, don't worry, it's not a problem. Just begin again, come back to again. We're always beginning again. Each breath is beginning anew. in your own time, start to open your eyes and become aware of the room again. Thank you for your practice. So now we are into our next section. I see our hosts are here. Okay.
Yeah. Thank you very much, Sunim, for the meditation guidance and also for the short talk just now. It's really a nice sharing, especially to those like moments we'll be always worrying things nowadays. Yep, we
Okay.
enjoyed this session very much and hope our audience enjoyed too. So now will be the Q&A sections. Everyone, please write down your question at the comment below and then we shall read it now later. Maybe I will be the first to ask some questions. Yeah, Sunim, actually just now when you're talking about not knowing minds, I will be confusing as a teenagers like us. Sometimes we will be quite ignorance to our things. So is this any difference between the no knowing minds and also ignorance?
Yes. So that's a very good question, actually. And I forgot to bring that up during the talk, but that's a very good question. So thank you for that. Uh, Not knowing is not ignorance. Okay. So having a not knowing mind is more having a mind that is open. Like I said, this mind that doesn't have to cling on to any kind of understanding or opinion. That means, like Pema Chodron said, it's groundlessness. There is no ground for you to stand on. So ignorance is a different thing. It's like really, like ignorant means actually to really be unaware of something. Okay, that is happening in front of you. But that's not knowing. Not knowing is having this, like I said, beginner's mind. This mind is open. That means anything coming, welcome it. Okay, so it's not dependent on ignorance or not ignorance. It's not depending on understanding or not understanding. It's just like you're sitting and you're open to everything that comes without judging it. Like when you see the sky, you just go, "Ah, it's just blue, you know. That doesn't depend on understanding or not understanding. That also doesn't depend on whether you're ignorant of the sky or not. You just see it as it is. So that's having this kind of not knowing mind. You're not saying, the sky is blue, but I wish it was sunny or I wish it was cloudy, you know. That's not good. It's only, blue, but there's no clouds. Is it, too hot or too whatever? And that's our understanding really coming into it. So it's just meeting everything, every experience, just the way it is, without bringing our own fixed ideas and opinions into it. When we bring our fixed ideas into it, then I think something is right. Somebody else thinks something is right, and we disagree, and we start to argue. I'm right, you're wrong. And then whoever has the better argument wins the argument, but doesn't always persuade the other person. But you get these two people, and look at the sky, only blue. That's no argument. It's not based on understanding or not understanding. It's based on experience. And that's what, if you want to uh, understand yourself, you want to realize who you really are, that's what we have to do, not based on understanding. Anybody can tell you, like, I was talking to somebody a few days ago, and she said to me, all my friends are telling me, when you reach this age, when you at 30, you must get married, you must have a good job, maybe have a house, and feeling a lot of pressure, stress, because of all these ideas that her friends, her family, her peers, her co-workers were giving to her. But everybody's different, you know. You don't have to, have these milestones in your life. These are just artificial milestones. But if we have this idea of I have to understand everything, then you have ignorance. Okay. Then also in the Buddhist teachings, we have the three poisons, anger, desire, ignorance. Ignorance doesn't mean stupid in that sense either. It means ignorance of the Dharma. That means not realizing the truth of the world as it is, not realizing what reality is. Okay? Does that answer your question?
Yes. Thank you, Sunim. So it will be
Okay.
really need to be aware on our like minds lah. Yeah.
Yeah,
Okay. Brother Sherab
don't
would like
stress
to
out
ask the
over it.
second.
Yeah, Sunim.
Go ahead.
Yeah, Sunim, I had a question. So how do you encourage people like students and professors and teachers to keep their don't-know mind at the same time also pursue their knowing of many knowledges and philosophies and whatnot, information that they are trying to
Yeah.
study or understand. Yeah.
Uh it's not like exclusive,
Mm.
and I wanted to say to Ting, don't stress out about, having to be mindful all the time. Just relax. If you relax, you can be aware. But if you're always like having a mind that's tight and I've got to notice everything, that really isn't awareness. That's more like, you know, trying to strive, it's over striving. It's striving. Awareness comes from actually having a relaxed mind. We talk about nowadays, a lot of people talk about meta awareness. The neuroscientists are very much into this meta awareness, which means having awareness of what's going on inside your body, your mind, as well as around you. So, how do professors or people with a lot of understanding use this not knowing in their life? Well, I think that's a good question also, because there seems to be kind of like a dichotomy, either you understand or you don't understand. But it's not really like that. They coexist. So realizing not to cling to our understanding, be open. Okay. So we understand certain things. Like, for example, something happened in the past. I did something, I got that result. For example, in the past, we used to have these phones where you dial. I don't know if you're old enough. But these huge phones that you. Then after that, we had these phones where you punch. Okay, so that's what I understand. Maybe I'm an old guy, okay, which I am. So then you show me a smartphone. I say, "Where's the phone? Give me a phone." And you say, "This is a phone." I said, "This is not a phone. I want this phone where you have this, this receiver, and then you can dial the thing. That's a phone. You understand? You don't understand. Don't give me this piece of plastic. I want a phone. Give me a phone. That's clinging to understanding. Okay. So if you realize that, and then we also realize that understanding is helpful. Okay. It's not that it's bad. We need it to survive in this world, to actually function in this world. Can't go around saying, don't know anything. What's your name? Don't know. Where you coming from? Don't know. What do you do when there's a red light at the traffic light? Don't know. You're going to get in trouble pretty soon. Okay. So it's not about that. It's about realizing that if we want to practice understanding ourselves, then we need to have this quality of a beginner's mind, to realize that we can't understand our way into our true nature. So that is maybe a little different from understanding with regards to living in our material world. This is more about our spiritual world, how we want to really, you know, have some insight into who we really are. And if you have a fixed idea, that's how I should be, you're not going to have the insight. If you let that go and just see, oh, these things are coming up in me. I have these feelings, I have these emotions, I have these thoughts. What are they? Open up to that. Then you can begin to experience who you truly are. Because as you will see, all these experiences will just come and go, they're impermanent. Then what? Right? So that's why practice is important. Knowledge of the Dharma helps you a certain extent, it gives you some direction and some guidance. But to take the last step, we really need to practice. Because as the Buddha did, he didn't go to a library, you know, he didn't go and study a lot of philosophies when he was, wanting to figure out who he was. He sat under a tree in the forest. And then he got this great enlightenment, great wisdom. And the proof of it is that 2,500, 600 years later, we're still practicing it, still helping countless millions of people. So that comes from having this sense of not knowing. Then everything you can welcome everything. But if we have only understanding, then that's not my understanding. Okay, don't need that. That's not what I understand. Don't need that. That's wrong. Don't need that. So yeah, slightly different understanding in your daily life, your material life. You need that to function, to work, to earn a living. But if you want to discover realize who you truly are, we have to let go of this understanding. Is that too complicated?
No. We are trying to keep our don't know mind to understand your answer. Do you have any other questions? Yeah.
Yeah. Oh, my line is back now. I would like to ask
Yeah.
one more questions. Hopefully, it's the last question because we haven't seen any questions from the floor. Yeah, Suni, I would like to ask, like, when we talking about not knowing minds, we should be like be at the moment now. But then sometimes, as like what those our friends says, like you must be plan something. When you're reaching about what age, etc. etc. It's like something about life planning or career plannings. Like, is it like when we doing the planning, how we practice the not knowing mind, but wow, we still need to planning or anything, yeah.
That's a good question. I used to do that too. But the interesting thing is, nothing I ever planned went the way I thought it would. I mean, I plan,
Yes.
maybe, but then I don't know. Your experience may be different. When you plan something, did it go exactly according to your plan? Did it? I'm asking a question. Yeah.
Yes. Always.
Oh,
Yeah.
always, always go according to your plan. Wow, you're very lucky.
Not always, but then I try. I try my best, yeah.
Okay, yeah. I mean, maybe my experience. Maybe I was a bad planner or whatever. But the I think the interesting thing about life is that it teaches us that many things are uncertain. Okay, many things are uncertain. That you may have a plan. Like right now in the UK, the government has a plan for taking care of uh, the COVID infections. They call it Plan A. Then they have also a Plan B, but they don't want to go to a Plan B. They want to stick to Plan A. So how well that goes, who knows? It's not entirely within their control, even though they're extremely smart and intelligent and very well qualified. So, um, the I think when you have more life experience, you start to see the for my personal experiences, the more I try to control my life to fix it to a certain plan, the more stressed out I feel, because very often things don't always go according to plan. And you really have to like try to force everything in. And it doesn't really work very well, not for me anyway. And what I found at one time, I couldn't really do it. So I just had to let go and let things happen as they happen, whatever natural way. And then they turned out okay. Nobody died. There was no disaster, you know, and everybody was okay. Everybody was happy. So then I realized I don't have to control anything. I don't have to plan. I mean, maybe a very rudimentary, elementary plan, yes, some idea of where we're going to be, but I don't have to get everything under control and things will be okay, you know? And that's what I found. So maybe you can see what in your experience, whether it works for you or not. Because, I think a lot of time we strive to control everything, to have everything perfect. And perfection is a real, striving for perfection is a real problem. It gives us a lot of stress and issues. So.
So thank you, Sunim, for that
Okay.
answer. I think you talk about practice, Sunim. So in Zen, we know that the Koan practice is a unique practice in Zen tradition. So my question is that how do we, what is the importance of Koan practice, and how do we use it to attain the Dono mind, Sunim?
Yeah, well, that's a good question. Koan practice is basically gives you a don't know mind, because most of the time you go in, somebody asks you a question, you don't know the answer, or somebody will say, "Ah, no, that's not the answer that's wanted." So then you have this not knowing mind, don't know mind. So Zen Master Sung San used to say, correct answer, not correct answer, not important. It's not really important, you know. Uh, for people who have done many Koan practices, you go in, you answer a question. The teacher says, "Oh, wonderful! That's correct. That's wonderful." Then next second, you're on to the next question already, and then that's the one you cannot answer. Okay, so the purpose of the Koan is not to sort of get you to give the right answer in the sense, but actually give you this experience of not knowing. And then experience this answer coming from deep inside your wisdom. And then you realize, I don't have to depend on understanding. I can I can depend on my don't know wisdom.
Thank you for that. It's a good ending point
Sure,
there. Thank you, Sunim.
sure.
Thank you,
Thank you.
Sony, for the wonderful Dharma talk and the meditation session. I believe we have some announcement to make. Yeah, Ting.
Yes, we'll be
Uh,
sharing what is our next event in this coming month. Yeah, Brother Shera, would you like to share about these upcomings like next week?
yeah, on the 12th December, which is next Sunday, starting at 8 p.m. Kuala Lumpur time, London 12 p.m., there will be this Samisha series, new Samisha series entitled a discussion on the Madhyamika philosophy based on Arya Deva's Chatusataka 400 verse treatise. So now from the don't know mind, we are entering into the knowing mind now, starting next week. And then
Yeah, we
2 weeks later, that we which is on the 19th of December, also another Sunday, there will be a Noble Tara series, and that the female leaders and leadership in Buddhism. So we have speakers like Venerable Tenzin Dasel, Bhikkhuni Vandana, Venerable Karma Dasi Chodron, Dr. Christy Chang, and this session will be moderated by Lydia Brown. And then also the
Yep.
following week there will be another summit series as well, which will be announced. We'll be announcing that later. Yeah. So
Okay. So
thank you
everyone,
everyone.
please.
Join our palm
Yeah,
together,
everyone,
and
please.
then I would like to invite Myong An Sunim to guide us in reciting the four great vows as dedication.
Okay, thank you. The four great vows. Sentient beings are numberless. We vow to save them all. Delusions are endless. We vow to cut through them all. The teachings are infinite. We vow to learn them all. The Buddha way is inconceivable. We vow to attain it. May all beings be well, happy, and safe. Take care, everyone. Good
Take care,
night.
Sunim. Good night.
See you
Thank you,
next
everybody.
time.
See you
Bye.
next time.
Thank you,
Bye.
everyone.